How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States, from Alaska to Miami and all points in between. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. The very top link is the show notes. Today's the last day you can see the show notes before it goes back behind the paywall, so you can subscribe, see what you're getting. They are just now coming out on email as well, so you'll be able to see them. We've got to start with Leeroy Jenkins and Sun Tzu. If you read my morning piece, you know what this is about. The Indiana Republican Party has decided not to go along with the president's request for redistricting. It's actually a remarkable defiance of the president. And before you get mad at the Indiana Republican Party, feel free to be mad at the Indiana Senate Republicans. I want to put this in proper context for you. Sun Tzu in The Art of War wrote, "Every battle is won before it is fought." The Chinese are taking that to heart. They're building up their naval forces. They're hacking into the American power grid and telecom infrastructure. They got spies everywhere. They're planning on a fight. We know it. They want it won before it's even fought. Sun Tzu said every battle is won before it's fought. Donald Trump replied, "Leeroy Jenkins." This is one of the greatest internet memes of all time. There's a video. You can search for Leeroy Jenkins. It's got some bad words in it, so I'm not going to play it, but it's a World of Warcraft game that's being recorded. And it's a group of guys who are going into a cave to kill the bad guys. The orcs and the monsters are in the cave, and they keep getting slaughtered. So they decide to strategize. And you can hear the conversation, okay, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do. And Leeroy Jenkins says, "Guys, I'm going to go get something to drink. I'll be right back." And they say, "All right, Leeroy, hurry back." So like, okay, now, you're going to go in, you're going to go this way, you're going to do this, and while you're doing this distraction, you may get killed, but while you're doing this, you two guys, y'all come in from behind on the backside, y'all go in through the other entrance to the cave, they'll be distracted fighting, you'll be able to come in and get rid of them. So now, while these two guys are going down, the rest of you are going to come in, and as the rest of the orcs and the trolls come forward, we're going to be able to surround them from two different access points. About that time, you hear, "All right, guys, I'm back, let's roll. Leeroy Jenkins!" Oh, no, everybody gets killed. In other words, Leeroy wasn't there for the planning session, wasn't there for the strategy. He just charged right in, and they all got killed again. Now, we know years later that this was all staged, but it is one of the funniest memes on the internet, Leeroy Jenkins. There's the Christmas show. What is it? The Abominable Snowman one with the Island of the Misfit toys. And it's all the toys that have been rejected because they got problems. And I will be brutally honest with you at the risk of offending some of my listeners. Much of the political team at the White House is made up of the Island of Misfit toys in Republican politics. They couldn't get hired on other campaigns. They weren't that good. They were a little bit weird. Some of them had all sorts of other neurotic issues, and nobody really wanted them. And they gravitated towards Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has rewarded their loyalty and put them in charge of things. But the reason they were on the Island of Misfit toys of politics is they really weren't that good. Donald Trump is very good, and Donald Trump's ability and charisma to dominate the conversation got him to beat Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. But the political team itself, Isn't really firing all cylinders. Now, there are some great people there. Susie Wiles is actually very good at her job. Chris Lasaveda, very good at his job. But on the day-to-day, run-of-the-mill, House relations, Senate relations, state legislative relations, political strategizing, you got the Island of Misfit Toys. And the Island of Misfit Toys in the cartoon series just wanted to be loved and loved the world in return. The Island of Misfit Toys in charge of Donald Trump's campaign. They're bullies who have been exiled, who are now in power, and they are waging war on all of the people in the Republican Party that they don't like. It's time for revenge for the years of alienation. Now they're in charge. I can't tell you the number of times I hear from people that they've lost very good political operatives who have lost political contracts because they refuse to hire one of the people now on the Trump's team, and that guy is in a vengeance campaign and then purging all these people who never gave him jobs or rejected him for jobs or fired him. Some very, very, very good political operatives on the Republican Party side have lost their jobs. Some of them aren't even in politics anymore because these idiots from the Island of Misfit Toys came into power with Donald Trump and purged all of the competent people. They decided to go to war with Democrats on redistricting, and they forgot Sun Tzu said every battle is won before it's fought. So they went in half-cocked Leeroy Jenkins style and just decided that they were going to bully Republican legislatures around the country to redistrict. Texas was willing to do it. Ohio, to a degree, willing to do it. Missouri, willing to do it. Georgia, not willing to do it. Indiana, not willing to do it. Why? Well, in Georgia, you've got Voting Rights Act issues and the Supreme Court cases. They can't really do it, and if they did do it, they would weaken suburban metro Atlanta Republicans, and that if the brutal swing next year is a swing too much, they could turn a Republican seat into a Democratic seat. This is something the Indiana Republicans are also concerned about, that the Republicans in Washington are flat out, they have drunk the Kool-Aid. They are convinced that they must stop the Democrats at all costs, and they're not even thinking, look at what you just saw in the off year elections. If that swing holds up next year, even if it's a half of the swing that we saw this year, some of the seats you want the Illinois Republicans to draw as Republican seats could very well become Democratic seats instead. You're not thinking strategically, and the Indiana Republicans kept telling them, You're actually going to cost Republican seats if we do this. There was a way to do it, though. The Indiana Republicans probably would have gone along with it. But they wanted to be partners, and the White House political team decided to bully them and threaten them and badger them. Yesterday morning, Heritage Action, which is the political arm of the Heritage Foundation, sent out a tweet. At 10:37 a.m. yesterday, this is their tweet. President Trump has made it clear to Indiana leaders. If the Indiana Senate fails to pass the map, all federal funding will be stripped from the state. Roads will not be paved. Guard bases will be closed. Major projects will stop. These are the stakes, and every no vote will be to blame. President Trump has made it clear to Indiana leaders, if the Indiana Senate fails to pass the map, all federal funding will be stripped from the state. Roads will not be paved. Guard bases will close. Major projects will stop. These are the stakes, and every no vote will be to blame. That's a hell of a precedent for the future Democrats to bully state legislatures and say, we're going to cut all of your funding if you don't give me that way. Why do the states even matter? It's wild, first of all, to see the Republicans take the position the states no longer matter. The states are not semi-sovereign. Who cares about states' rights? This is a Republican Party rejecting the issue of states' rights, something that's long been a central plank of the Republican Party. Suddenly, the states don't matter. They got to give Donald Trump what he wants. I know 3 Indiana Republican members of the state Senate who were willing to consider redistricting. I don't know if they had locked in their minds. 2 of them I know were on the fence. One of them yesterday morning, the very first person to send me this tweet from Heritage Action was an Indiana state senator. He sent me the tweet, and his only text with it was F him, except he didn't say F. Furious that the president would threaten this. Furious that the president would say, if I don't get my way with you guys, and by the way, there are underlying state issues, constituent issues. The Indiana Republican Party was getting blown up by Republican voters in Indiana who didn't want to do this. The president and his team treat the congressional Republicans and the state Republicans as if they're just token yes men. There's no conversation, there's no deliberation, there's no compromise, there's no input. You just have to do what he says. This is why they're the island of misfit toys. That's not how you win in politics. You cannot, in a democracy, in a republic of 350 million people, force your will like that on any constituency, particularly when those constituencies are divided between 50 individual sovereign states. And they decided to Leeroy Jenkins it. They didn't have a plan. They didn't do the reach out. They rushed it in. And Indiana has said, absolutely not. We're not going to do it. Indiana Republicans have a supermajority in the state Senate, and they rejected it. They have 40 seats. 30 people rejected it. All the Democrats, plus a significant number of the Republicans. Here's the bitter irony. The president never did that. Heritage Action for America pushed out this tweet that the president essentially said all funding to Indiana will come to an end unless he gets his way. Indiana Republicans said, screw him, we're not going to do it. We're not going to be bullied. Turns out the president never actually did what Heritage Action said he was going to do. The activist core of the island of misfit toys sabotaged the effort in Indiana. The defiance from all of this, too, comes from the November elections. You can take every individual special election and the off-year elections in Virginia and New York and elsewhere and say that these are all individually unique. It doesn't matter for the midterm elections, except when the pattern is so consistent, it always shows up. This happened in 2021 and led to 2022 Republican takeover. It happened in 2017 and in 2018 led to Democratic takeover. It happened in 2009, which showed the big surge in 2010 for the Tea Party. In 2013, it showed that the Republicans were going to make big gains in 2014. This is what happens every single time. You see a consistent pattern across all special elections and off-year elections, and it all heads in that direction. It is actually a sign that something bad is coming for the incumbent party. And so you have all of those signs show up, and the Republicans in the air like, what are we doing here? By the way, don't say that all the Democrats are doing it. The Maryland Democrats have said, we're not going to engage in redistricting. There are a couple other Democratic states that have said, we're not going to do it either. But Virginia looks like they're going to. And this was always the problem for President Trump and the Republican Party. They ran off without a strategy to ensure it could get done before they tried it. And they provoked Democrats to respond in kind. And the Democrats are mad as hell. And you got a number of Democratic states that are going to do what Texas and Missouri and Ohio have done. And they're going to redistrict too. And so now the Republicans are going to be in a worse position than had they never begun this process. You can blame Indiana Republicans all you want, but the real blame is in the White House political team that didn't sit down and come up with a deliberative strategy to get this done before they actually made it public. They didn't go on a whispering, listening campaign to these state legislative leaders and talk to them about it and explain why they needed it. They just ran off and decided they could punch anybody in the face who said no. They could bully them. They could badger them. They could harass them, and they could threaten them. And they threatened the wrong people, the Indiana Republicans. This was really stupid politics by the White House political team. So here's where we are, less than a year before the midterms. The pro-lifers are mad at the Trump administration because the Trump administration has decided not just to allow the generic of the abortion drug, but is now saying that you don't even need to consult with a doctor in-house before you get the abortion drug. The pro-lifers are furious. The limited government guys are furious at the Trump administration trying to extend Obamacare subsidies and attacking the state rights of states like Indiana. The old school Republicans are mad that neither the president nor J.D. Vance will distance himself from the Tucker Carlsons and the Candace Owenses of the world and really be stridently denouncing anti-Semitism within the Republican Party. The national security Republicans are upset at the president continuing to bend to Vladimir Putin and handing China the NVIDIA chips. The Hispanics in the coalition feel targeted personally by Border Patrol. The idiots in the White House political shop are trying to shatter the entire Republican Party coalition. They're alienating everyone other than the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists. What the hell are they doing? The president's campaign team inside the White House is generating malpractice. Here's the thing. What would you do differently than this if you wanted Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker? And you'll forgive me, but I'm coming to the conclusion that inside the White House, the political team would rather Hakeem Jeffries be Speaker than Mike Johnson because they'll be able to fundraise off of impeachment and they'll have a foil. They need a foil. The president needs a foil, they think. The president always needs someone to go up against. It's not going to be Mamdani. It's not going to be Ilhan Omar. It was Nancy Pelosi, and they need a new Pelosi. They need Hakeem Jeffries. Every single thing this White House is doing does nothing but break up the Republican coalition and fire up the Democratic base. It is political malpractice unless the point is to get Democrats elected next year. I'm a mattress snob. I travel a lot. I want a good night's sleep in my own bed. I miss my mattress when I'm gone, and I discovered Brooklyn Bedding, and I love them. I was a little bit hesitant for an online mattress until I tried Brooklyn Bedding because you get 120 nights to try it, and I wanted a mattress that wasn't just memory foam, feeling like I'm laying in mud. I wanted one with the support of the coils, and they are not only 100% fiberglass free, but they've got great sturdy coils for a firm mattress, a great night's sleep, and they offer a 120-night comfort trial. Love it or they'll help you return it or swap it. Go to brooklynbedding.com. Use promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. Not available to anybody else. You got to use my code ERIC, brooklynbedding.com, promo code ERIC for 30% off site-wide. Support the show. Let them know we sent you after checkout with that promo code. It's brooklynbedding.com. The promo code is ERIC. Handcrafted mattresses in the United States of America, and they're fantastic. brooklynbedding.com. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the people are very angry, and they've returned to "you must be never Trump," and they have completely missed the point that seems to be sailing over their head as they are 30 feet above the runway with the plane calling them what they are. The fact of the matter is that I don't want Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House. I would prefer to have the Republicans continue in charge. But the way the political team, not the president, but his political team at the White House is operating, they are committing political malpractice. And we're going to get Hakeem Jeffries. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at them. They're the ones who never plotted this out. They just ran into it Leeroy Jenkins style. And you can say on the other side, no, it was the president. No, it was the president. No, the president actually does take the counsel of these people. The president actually does listen to them. So the president isn't actually acting out on his own. He's listening to people inside the White House, and those people have given him terrible advice. This is it's fixable. It's amenable. There are things that can be done. But they've actually got to do them, and they're not. They are failing to execute competent strategy and failing to serve adequately the President of the United States to all of our detriment, not just his. You know, Americans for Prosperity actually has a bunch of common sense solutions that they should be listening to on how to make things happen and get positive change and a real conservative agenda done in this country. You can join them. Go to afpvolunteer.com. afpvolunteer.com, and you guys could actually make a difference in advancing freedom in this country and also pulling other independent voters, your neighbors, your family, your friends into the process to make sure the Republican majorities are saved next year. AFP goes through the states. They've got chapters in every state mobilizing conservatives, educating them on the issues, driving them into the process, encouraging them to get involved and have their voice heard to change policy and advance common sense conservative reforms. Sign up today at afpvolunteer.com, afpvolunteer.com. Join Americans for Prosperity. Get involved in the process. Fight for freedom in your community. afpvolunteer.com is the website. I'm on their board of advisors. We'd love to have you guys get involved across the country, advancing freedom and common sense conservative solutions. Go to afpvolunteer.com. Hello there. Welcome. Hang on one second. All right. I'm sending a note to someone because I need him to listen to me. Because this is an important topic. I want to. Let me start by saying, for some of you, if you're a regular listener, a little bit of this is going to be a little bit repetitive, but we have a real problem. And I'm trying to use logic and reason here in an age where we're increasingly emotional. You know, we can say it's taking the Bible out of school, taking prayer out of the classroom, whatever. But I also think one of the problems we're having as a society right now is that by degrading math skills in school, we have harmed people's ability to reason and engage in logic. Because it's very true that outside of engineering fields, you're never going to use your algebra again. Rarely do I encounter a problem where I need to remember my trigonometry. The Pythagorean theorem has not actually saved me in life, except when I've had to help my kids with their homework on the Pythagorean theorem. And typically, my wife's the one who does that. But what it does do, and where the skill does come in, is in logic. Not just in logic, but in the ability to process core pieces of information and synthesize them accurately. There are a lot of people who they put a bunch of stuff together and it's a conspiracy theory. It's not the way the world works, but they're convinced it is because they've actually substituted emotion in their logic. They've put pieces together in a puzzle and they force things to fit together by the power of their emotional attachment, not by their logic and reason. And it's starting to break down, and I'm seeing it happen on the right. Not just on the left. And elevating emotion over logic and reason is becoming a real problem, particularly when it comes to issues like immigration and deportations. People simply don't want to listen to what you're saying. They hear what they want to hear. They get emotional about it, and they just completely lose the plot. I want to talk to you about this issue in a different way if I can, and I want to begin this way. I have a friend of mine. His name is Josh. Josh has a Hispanic last name. His family is actually of Mexican origin, part of his family. He has bright red. He looks more Irish than Mexican, although he's now balding, but nonetheless. Josh inherited, I think it was an inheritance, a beat-up old Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. Had a Lady of Guadalupe sticker on the back of it. The first time he got pulled over in the vehicle, he just thought clearly there was a mistake. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He just thought there was a mistake. He said the officer had an odd reaction when he came up to the window, and there is very white, red-headed Josh. He said he stopped thinking it was a coincidence. We're in the same region of Texas. Every time he drove through there, he would get pulled over if he was in his inherited, beat-up old Toyota Tacoma pickup truck with the Lady of Guadalupe sticker on it, and every time the police came to the window, they were shocked it was a white dude with red hair in the vehicle, despite the Hispanic last name. And he said, yeah, there are parts of the country where racial profiling happens. There's a black pastor, very famous black pastor in Atlanta, who was driving through Texas with his white wife. They were pulled over. He was held by a police officer while another police officer made sure his white wife was safe and not being kidnapped or held against her will or abused. They were married. Interestingly enough, this black pastor in Atlanta had been a critic of the idea that racial profiling really happens in this country until that moment. I'm not trying to explain away or be dismissive or say it's bigger than not, but there are people I know, and I was one of them, who really didn't think racial profiling was a thing anywhere. It was just something that was made up by the left. And I now know firsthand multiple people who have experienced it. You haven't, and so some of you are dismissive of it because you're never going to experience it. We live in a very tribal society where everyone is on their own media outlets. It's like I saw someone this morning. This is the best reason I can find for people who listen to Candace Owens still, because it's a lot of white women who listen to Candace Owens. And what it is it's white women who don't have large friends groups, because what Candace Owens is doing is she's engaging in the social gossip that you typically hang out with your girlfriends and talk about other people in the community. But because you have no community, you have no way to relate, so you listen to Candace Owens, and it's the catty housewife gossip that you would otherwise get elsewhere. But now you're getting it from Candace Owens about Charlie Kirk and his wife, about the First Lady of France. It's the same thing. It's the catty, chatty housewife gossip about people in your community, except you have no local community, so you get your community from Candace Owens, and it's otherwise the same thing. And you know deep down none of it's really true. It's somewhat malicious, but you're entertained by it. It keeps you company. In the United States of America, we've got channels for people on the left, and we've got channels for people on the right. We have channels for people who are black and channels for people who are Asian. We have channels for people who are Southeast Asian and Indian, and we have a lot of channels for people who are Hispanic. And I keep seeing older white people tell me the idea that Hispanics are turning on Donald Trump because of immigration is nonsense. And despite all of the evidence that is actually out there that it's happening, they're like, no, it's not. I don't know any Hispanic person who is changing their mind on Donald Trump. They want the deportations too. Problem is, you don't actually know any Hispanic people. I know a lot of Hispanic people. And I can tell you from my firsthand experience that, yes, I know Hispanics who voted for Donald Trump who are really concerned about how deportations are being handled, because they do want the criminals deported, and they do want the gangbangers reported, and they do want all the people who flooded the border from Joe Biden's administration flooded. But what they don't want is for their friends and family to be harassed, and it's happening, and you don't know about it because you're not listening to Hispanic radio channels. You're not listening to the Hispanic news outlets. You're not listening to that community. You don't have ears in that community. I happen to have ears in that community. It's one of the things I have worked very hard for, is to penetrate the silos of conversations in this country so that I can paint for you a broader picture of what is actually happening than what you're getting from the media that you consume. And I can tell you, in Hispanic media around the country, particularly in places like Miami and in South Texas and in Illinois and in parts of other southern states, out west in Arizona and New Mexico and California and Colorado, all of these places, what you hear regularly in Hispanic media are stories of people who believe they were targeted by Border Patrol. They blame ICE, but it's actually Border Patrol. ICE has its stuff together. Border Patrol doesn't. And they do not actually want to pay attention to the fact that on these Hispanic networks, there are stories on a regular basis of Hispanic American citizens who believe they were pulled over and stopped by ICE, or not ICE, Border Patrol. Again, ICE doesn't do it, Border Patrol does. The media reports it as ICE, but it's actually the Border Patrol. In Miami, on Hispanic radio and TV stations, there have been multiple stories of Cuban Americans who have tried to become American citizens in the last year, and Border Patrol detained them. It's against the law to detain a Cuban who's a refugee from Cuba in this country, and yet some of them, it happened. You don't hear about it on Fox News. You don't hear about it on Newsmax. You don't hear about it on other conservative talk radio stations. You don't hear about it in the news that you consume, and so you presume it's mythology. You presume it's a lie. You presume it's not true. I'm here to tell you it is true, and it is happening, and it is a bungling incompetence by portions of Border Patrol. And again, it's not ICE. ICE does not do this. Tom Homan runs a tight shop. ICE is very good at what it does. ICE goes in with pre-known targets that they're trying to deport, many of whom are on the list of people who were carried over by the Biden administration. It's the Border Patrol agents who paint with a broad brush and throw a broad net and cause problems. And it is the Border Patrol that Kristi Noem has empowered to do more of this stuff because she thought ICE was going too slow. ICE is methodical. The Border Patrol is not. And Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski the head of the Border Patrol, are hurting President Trump with the Hispanic community. And the Hispanic community wants the deportations to happen. They want the criminals gone. They want the gangbangers gone. They want the border crossers who came in during the Biden administration gone. What they don't want is for themselves to get stopped, and yet it's happening. And you don't hear about it. It's not covered in media that you consume, and so you don't think it's happening. And I'm here to tell you, not only is it happening, but it's starting to alienate Hispanic voters from the president because they do not think by virtue of being Hispanic, they should have to look over their back in fear of ICE or the Border Patrol or anyone else coming for them. I want everyone deported who shouldn't be here. I don't care how long you've been in the country. But a lot of Hispanic voters, they think if you've been here for 30 years, you hadn't gotten in trouble since you've been here, might as well leave them alone. They can't vote. Leave them alone. If they're here that long, they've started paying taxes, leave them alone. That's a position of the Hispanic community. My point for you is a very simple one that a lot of people are having a hard time understanding. If you take an deport them all approach, it's a perfectly fine approach, but you will lose the Hispanic part of the coalition that has come in. And you have to replace that coalition with someone else because they're the ones who gave you the majority. So you will lose power. So it's a very simple equation. You're not going to be able to deport everybody if you lose power. If you prioritize the deportations to the recent arrivals, the gangbangers, and the criminals, you're going to keep the Hispanic coalition. But if you're letting Border Patrol loose in Hispanic communities and they keep accidentally detaining people who can't be deported, and those people keep running to Hispanic talk radio shows, Hispanic newspapers, Hispanic TV shows, you're going to start raising the concerns within the Hispanic community, and they're going to leave you. They're going to walk away from you. They put their trust in the President of the United States, and Kristi Noem and her team at Homeland Security and Border Patrol are abusing that trust. They do feel targeted. They know people who feel like they were harassed merely for being Hispanic. You don't hear about it, and so you don't think it's real, and I'm here to tell you it is a real thing, and it is widely covered on Spanish language stations that you don't listen to and you don't consume. I would prefer we maximize the deportations. I would prefer we get out of this country everyone we can possibly get out of this country. But for that to happen, Border Patrol needs to do what ICE is doing and actually prioritize who you want out. Recent arrivals, gangs, and criminals. Once you've gotten the recent arrivals, the gangs, and the criminals gone, then let's have that conversation about the people who've been here for 30 years. If you're a white person listening to me right now and you are insisting, no, it's got to be everyone right now, all of them, I want you to know that you're going to cost yourself the ability to get rid of any of them out of here. Because you're going to cost yourself the Hispanic voters who gave you the majority and put you in power to begin the deportations. Who are you going to replace those people with? The white wokes? The white suburbanites who are already afraid you're going to deport their gardener? Who are you going to see? You don't have a coalition of people to replace these Hispanic voters with. You can get rid of all the people who've come here in the last 4 years. You can get rid of the gangs and you can get rid of the criminals. And then you might even be able to get rid of people who've been here for 30 years if you save them for last, if you just prioritize. But if you take an all of the above approach and it's starting to accidentally cause Hispanic citizens to get rounded up in the process, you're going to lose everything. So do you want to win and accomplish most of your goals, or do you want to lose and accomplish nothing? It's your choice. But too many people are so emotional about it, and they're convinced what I'm telling them is not to do deportations. No, I'm telling you to deport as many people as you can, but put it in order of priority, gangs and criminals and recent arrivals before you go after everyone else, and be judicious in your targets. Let ICE take the lead, not Border Patrol, because ICE is competent, Border Patrol is not when it comes to doing this. And you'll be able to do what you want to do, and you'll be able to keep the Hispanic coalition together. But right now, it's not working. And the data is already there. We're seeing it across the board that Hispanic voters are starting to walk away from Donald Trump because they themselves feel targeted. I don't know how more plainly I can say this to you, and you can say it's not happening, you can say I'm lying, and you can take that all the way to a massive electoral defeat next year. Or you can do what I'm telling you and maybe preserve your coalition and win. Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I already got some elderly woman attacking me on social media that I don't give the facts. Unlike Rush Limbaugh, I don't give the facts. I should not have my time slot. I just gave lots of facts about this. She just wants everybody deported. This is what I'm talking about the emotionalism of this issue. This is why we can't have nice things, I guess, is you can get nothing, you just can't get all. So how close to all can you get? That's all I'm trying to tell you, is that you can maximize deportations. You just can't get 100% deportations right now. You might be able to in the future, but right now you can't. So wow, my gosh, it's just, I mean, how many people do you want deported? Start with all. Can you do that without losing the coalition? Probably not. So what about all the people who came here in the last 4 years? You can do that. What about the ones with criminal records? Yes, you can do that. What about the gang affiliate? You can do that. This really shouldn't be that hard. Now, when we come back, we got to switch gears because the Democrats are furious and threatening another government shutdown because they're not getting their way on extending Obamacare. Thankfully, Republicans are standing up on the issue for now. We'll see how long it lasts. Right now, I need to tell you about Hillsdale College. If you go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can sign up with Hillsdale College and start getting educated about a topic of your choice. They've got 40 classes to choose from, the gamut of academic education. They're entertaining, they're engaging, they're informative. They make you smarter. I always try to get you smarter. And Hillsdale College wants to help. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today. You don't pay a penny. It is free. You sign up. These are 30-minute videos. You do it at your own pace, covering a gamut of educational topics. You pick the topic. Depends on the number of 30-minute videos. You do it at your own pace. You get a certificate of completion when you're done. And you get to figure out how Hillsdale is so good and makes you so much smarter. You go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You sign up at Hillsdale College, and they're going to make it happen for you free of charge. Get started today. Give it as a gift to someone who's interested in a topic. ericforhillsdale.com. You give them a gift, and it's free. Pretty good gift to give.